I know sometimes we want to travel by discernment we seize. If it were for discernment alone, Paul, the mighty apostle, a young damsel met Paul carrying a diabolic spirit. Paul couldn't discern her. For many days, Paul acknowledged that lady to be a prophetess. Imagine the people that would have seen Paul with that woman and say, even Paul, the great apostle, knows that this lady is a seer. It took many days before Paul's discernment was activated. Do you know the many other things that would have swallowed Paul because of slow discernment? That is what happens to us. We have been on flights that should have crashed. We have been in vehicles that should have crashed. With our teaching of discernment and the little discernment we had, we entered the wrong vehicles that would have crashed. But at some point, the mercy of God showed up. The mercy of God showed up. Because out of 100 times, maybe you discern 5 times. And many times the devil will come when you didn't discern. Have you not seen great people that crashed? Have you not seen great people that failed? Do you think they don't have discernment? That one moment of failure in discernment can be when your arrow was shot. That is why it takes God to be victorious in this life. You'll say you are smart, you don't have an idea what is happening. I find myself sometimes in a week for 40 to 50 hours in the air. Just this weekend, on Thursday, I was in Egypt. Left Egypt to Dubai, ministered for 20 minutes, turned back, flew to Egypt and flew back to Nigeria between Friday and Saturday. And that may be the 20th flight I was on in that week. Do you think with that level of schedule, I can show up at the airport and stand like this and say, I shouldn't enter this plane? You are joking. When you have to catch 14 flights in a week, you know that no matter how discerning you think you are, if God doesn't show mercy, you are finished. And then you show up, you don't ascribe the glory to God. You don't ascribe the glory. See the testimonies upon testimonies. These ones were censored. They had to even stop and say, we'll read out. And even at that, do you think these are jokes? You think because somebody has faith and he showed up and said, move forward. Without God, you will prophesy all your life and you will prophesy into obscurity and rejection. It takes God for things to happen. And because we know it takes God, every day of our life we show up and say, God, you know, we are just like puppets. It's just like this microphone I'm using. This microphone is only amplifying what I'm saying. Immediately I stop talking, the microphone stops working. That's how we are in the hands of God. We are doing nothing except as we are channeling what you are already doing. And anything it is you are not doing, no matter how we try, is a failure. And because we know this, we don't take for granted when it comes to giving thanks. Even if it's something that looks infinitesimal, we know that in all our skill and mastery, we cannot add 1 cubit to a man's hair. We know too well how helpless and vulnerable we are before God. When you find someone who can't thank God, he's still taking credit for the things happening in his life, and wait for a while. Go and ask the Nebuchadnezzar. When he showed up and said, this great nation, I built it with my hands. Suddenly one of the watchers showed up and said, the Most High rules in the affairs of men. And in 7 years, a great king became a beast. After he came back from that journey, Nebuchadnezzar became a prophet. He said, I have seen that God is a ruler among men. He quickly ascribed the glory to God. You think you are the one doing what is happening? Go and ask Herod. Herod gave a speech and they clapped for him and said, what an oration. This is God talking. And Herod nodded his head. The Bible said immediately he was struck by an angel. Worms came out of him. That means apart